Yo, what up? Back with Coco Thoughts. And hope you guys had a freaking good week. Today is Sunday, the 12th of February. And I don't know, to be honest, like all I've done this week is probably just play Darker and Darker. but Dark and Darker, which I think is like, it's like a really good game. It's based around D&D and it's dungeon crawling. And it has so much potential. So far, during this iteration of the game, they've added a single player map for just 11 people apparently now instead of 9. It's like adjusted the number during the patch. And it's not that bad. Just fighting against goblins, it should be pretty easy. But uh, unfortunately, probably like half of the 11, either, 5 or 6 of them, will die to goblins. And maybe like a few people will die to the boss because you could solo the boss as a ranger, at least as far as I know, unless they patch that. But to be honest, it's just like a really fun game, and it's free, which is even better. But unfortunately, with like all good games, there are hackers, and there aren't like too many of them. I haven't really encountered any hackers, but they do exist, unfortunately. But before I go more into Darker and Darker, let me see. I want to cover freaking TF2 for a second. Apparently, TF2, they're supposedly gonna create a nice update. Now, this blog post, it's been about 3 years since the last one, roughly. But, it's more like 2.5 because it's July. But looking through this, you do have the Rick May Memorial blog post. This is probably a fundraiser. Yeah. That's mostly like what TF2 is used for. Let's see, what else do you got? Creative depression. Oh yeah, the unusual chance that was increased and that was reverted, and then it made unusuals non tradable. More, another Smith update. Scream Fortress. Check it through this real quick. You get competitive. Jungle Inferno was the last one. That's 5 years ago. Wait, this month? Yeah, 5 years ago from 7 days ago was like the fifth anniversary of that, or not. Wait, where? Oh, it was live in October. Okay, whatever. Mind. The first announcement of Jungle Inferno, I guess it kind of counts. But now there's another one that's theoretically supposed to happen. Now I'm kind of hopeful. I feel like they could do something, but it's gonna be mostly like workshop content. I don't think they're really making anything themselves anymore because they most definitely don't have the manpower. So I mean, it could be interesting. I looked through like the Steam Workshop. Like some of the items were, I don't know. They wouldn't be like too bad. Like the pyro getting access to like a Molotov, or like an alternative choice for the spy's revolver. That'd be interesting. A secondary minigun for the heavy. Well, not really minigun, but a machine gun. That'd be interesting, I guess. There's more bullets, or a tankier version of the minigun where it has like armor on it. And that would just mean that you would have to use like a spy immediately to kill him. But I mean, it could be interesting. I just wonder what choices they'll make for items. I'm really hoping that it's weapons and maybe the rebalance some of the current weapons. Now, I don't play TF2 enough to really know what needs to be balanced and what needing to be buffed. Play, but just like I don't know, like the whole balance scene in general in freaking TF2. But hopefully they fix it because this seems like one of the very few times they'll actually do something, if they do anything to begin with. And hopefully they stick around so they can fix the items that they just introduced to make them usable or to make them not as broken. For maps, to be honest, I can't really think of like a interesting map for this game. Taunts or whatever, you just pay for those, and same with freaking unusual effects. But I don't really care about that. I care about like what new weapons they're gonna introduce because they haven't done that in so freaking long. And yeah, it just says a freaking we need workshop content. So hopefully people freaking provide that. Which, to be honest, they've been doing that for freaking years. So if they haven't found something, I don't know. They must not be looking hard enough. I feel like there's so many entries in the workshop for so many freaking years of content. If they wanted to do it, I'm just really hoping that this is maybe like the turning point for this game. I talked to somebody at work, and they said that they didn't have a computer in freaking high school, so they didn't really get to experience anything. Because like TF2 was like really good when it was like getting updates constantly or like consistently. But that like ended with like freaking Jungle Inferno. Then they just stopped putting anything out, and that like kind of, if you join TF2 like after Jungle Inferno and you get like no updates for like so many years, but besides like skins to crates, you know, you're not really experiencing the game like other people's did freaking years ago, like pre 2018. But I'm really hoping that they actually do something with it. Like I don't see why not. They freaking do so many things with Dota and CS:GO. Just freaking give a little bit of love to TF2. People still consistently play this game and make videos about it that get like decent views. This would kind of like help those guys out too, because they would get new eyes on the game. Because people would be like, "Oh, what's TF2? I've never heard of that before." And of course, as soon as I start, my freaking mouth gets dry. Yeah. Other than that, I found my new addiction, Dark and Darker. It's such a, I think it's such a well crafted game. It's D&D. I played a decent bit of like Divinity 2, and I think that kind of like helped me understand D&D, kind of. But man, Dark and Darker is so freaking good. The voiceover IP is perfect. We're not really like perfect, but like the idea is good. It needs to be refined, obviously, like most things in this freaking game. But it is just so fun. And, like speaking of things that need to get balanced, it's freaking Barbarian. Barbarian's kind of freaking nuts. They have a freaking 130 base HP, but they have like very low resourcefulness, so it kind of doesn't really matter because they have Smash, and Smash just allows them to break everything. But before that, get touch on the weapons. So you have Arming Sword. Arming Sword is the base sword for the fighter. It's okay. I'm more of a Falcon person. I played what's it called? Kingdom Come Deliverance. And in that game you have a Falcon. Or I feel like I'm pronouncing it wrong. Is it Falchion or Falcon? I'm just gonna say Falcon. I use Falcon a lot because it's my favorite looking sword. It looks like it's just like blunt. I don't know. It's like about the weird curve at the very top too. I think it's a fun sword. And then you got your long sword. I don't use it because two-handed weapons in this game, I find too often that they freaking hit the wall and it just like negates your attack. So I don't really use that. Although this has a riposte, and I don't think any of the other swords have a riposte mechanic. And like speaking of which, the rapier, you don't have a freaking riposte mechanic on the rapier. Why? It that the longsword and the rapier should both have like riposte mechanics on them. But I guess since it's a rogue weapon, that'd be like kind of OP, but it really isn't. Maybe because rogues can apply poison to their weapons. So if you get like a riposte off, you get a free application of poison, and you get an additional attack after that. And as the longsword says, if it's 150 base damage, it's kind of good. I don't know. I think it would be that bad. But anyways, longsword, rapier, short sword. Put in your offhand. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I don't know why this says man hand. I'm pretty sure the sword's an offhand weapon because it's supposed to be like it's like a secondary stat stick, which is kind of the weird thing about dual wielding, which you can do with only. I'm pretty sure the fighter and the rogue class, and I think actually the ranger. Oh, never mind. It says it right there. Fighter, ranger, rogue. But yeah, it, offhanding doesn't really seem useful. It seems like you only use the offhand for its stat stick. Like if you have like all attributes, you put that in your offhand, and it just bumps up your main weapon's damage. I don't know. I haven't seen very much dual wielding fighters at all. And rogues too. I mean, rogues that they only use like either their offhand or their main hand only, and they only click with that button on their mouse. I don't see them like try to alternate really, because it's just faster that way. Because you, as it says, you have to go through freaking 3 attack animations. The Zweilander, I used the Zweilander like once when I was playing Barbarian, and I hit a wall while using it because I was in like a close space and I died with it. And I think it was like a purple Zweilander. It's like it's okay. I like Zweilander, but I wouldn't use it on Barbarian or Fighter. I'm not really interested in the two-handed weapons right now, unless I'm like only playing Barbarian, which is covered later. Uh, maces are very fun. I find the flying mace to be the best one. I don't really use the Morning Star too much. In the War Mall, garbage. Um, for the daggers, I only use the stiletto, I think, and the rondel. I'm not too much of a fan of the Chris. I don't really know what makes it any different. Apparently, the attack speed's lower on the Chris and the Castilian. Okay, now that I know. And yeah, I'm not too big on playing rogue either, but it's very funny to watch other skilled people. Well, not really skilled, but other people who have connections play rogue. Like there's a Twitch streamer named Surefour who does he has like a skeleton rogue, and he just goes around scaring people, and then he stabs them twice with his rapier, and I'll basically just kill people with the damage over time from rupture and the poisoned blade. It's very funny to watch. And sometimes the people will like talk back, or they'll like try to kill him, and then instead he like freaking squad wipes and moves on to like the next people and says like, why does nobody love him? It's very funny. Uh, Now going on to pole arms. The Bardiche. Mm, It's like okay. I think it's like I don't know, man. It's one of the few things that allow you to block with it. I mean, it's okay. I never used the halberd. I haven't found a. I haven't played on fighter to use the halberd. But I'm sure it's probably fun. I use the quarterstaff like a little bit. Quarterstaff, I think right now is like kind of. I wouldn't say OP, but it's like kind of like really good. And the spear, I think the spear is like kind of good too. I haven't had a chance to use it on fighter or ranger, and this thing needs to get updated for ranger because ranger has a perk where you can use the spear. For axes, I find the horseman's axe to be the funnest to use, but it's only because it's like a half pike. Speaking of which, why isn't there a pike in this game yet? I mean, there's a bunch of things that they can add to this game. I'll go over that like the end of this. Battle axe, the basic barbarian axe. It's all right. Not too much to write home about. It's probably going to be the thing that you maybe use the most next to the double axe. Mm. The attack speed's a little bit faster, so you probably use double axe a little bit more. Felling axe, yeah, has a decent attack speed. No, probably, but still, probably like double axe, like a lot more. The hatchet, nothing doesn't really matter. Horseman's axe, it's like okay. For the bows, longbow sucks. The draw on the arrow is so freaking slow. It's not worth using. The recurve is in the sweet spot where it's actually kind of quick to use. So it's like worth using. Survival bow is also very slow. Well, not. Never mind. It's not very slow. It just doesn't do any damage. 13 at the gray tier versus 24. Yeah, no. Recurve is the best bow, best in slot. But also, apparently, projectiles in this game are kind of busted right now. So, I don't know. Maybe next time they release a play test or they release the game. Because apparently they're planning on doing that. I think in like April. Maybe the Ranger will become meta, and everybody will really hate it because they have rations too. For crossbows, I think most people use the only the windlass, and you can actually make like a hand, well, not really hand cannon, but a mobile cannon to one shot people if they aren't geared enough, which you can do with like a lot of things, but it's like very funny if you use a good crossbow and you just one shot a fighter that's fully armored across the map. Onto the magical weapons. Crystal ball. I think it's garbage. Apparently, it does magical damage. I don't know about that. I don't think it really does anything. A crystal sword, useless. I think until they make it to where you can cast spells without, you hit something. Because within this game, let's say you're casting a spell with a wizard staff, which is going to be your most used staff, because it's the basic one that you start with. If you are too close to a wall, it'll cancel your cast. So you're better off like buying a spell book as soon as you can. Apparently, there's a magic wand, and I've never seen it. I don't think it's in the game yet. Oh boy, that's -8 movement speed. It's gonna be kind of good. It'll compete with the spell book maybe like a little bit if you want movement speed. It's probably like an offhand thing. But would you use an? Oh wait, never mind. It'll just be like use a dagger, because wizards can use daggers. You just have the magic wand in your offhand. because people do that with the crystal ball. Bam. Oh, hopefully they buff the crystal sword a little bit. Maybe you could do like a battle mage thing. I think that would be very fun. That's really what I want. I want to be able to haste invisibility myself, ignite my sword, and freaking come up behind somebody. That, that seems like the funnest thing to do. There's so many fun things you can do with this game. Shields, buckler. Buckler's garbage. It's very small. And it's kind of hard to tell where the shield is. Because there's no... There needs to be like a training ground. So you can see where your shield is. You need to be able to like 1v1 like an AI. And that would probably help people, you know, not die to the freaking skeletons. Unless they like don't care. And they're like, oh, you have to figure it out yourself. Which I don't mind. I mean, you have to learn a lot of this game just from playing it. Which is why like so many people, they start out in the biggest map with, I think it's 18 players now. And most of them still just die to the freaking skeletons or the spellcasters or the traps. So yeah, because the mobs, I feel like they're really good at freaking headshotting people, or people are really bad at positioning. I mean, I also died of freaking traps and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think, but still, I think it's a good game. Don't get me wrong. Found it. There needs to be something where you can go into a training ground and you can test out your stuff. Because the only way you can do that now is by using the time before you load into the map to test out how much damage you deal. But I just won't be able to do it on my own. Test out builds, test out like what are actually good enchantments for weapons. How much does the on map items actually boost your character's abilities or stats? Because there's like a font of power in the game, and I want to know how much that font increases my strength or whatever stats. So maybe I'll use it more often. And same for the font of speed. I want to know how much that increases my agility. I kind of want to do like a fighter build where you just zoom around with sprint, and you have like really high agility, so you can go in and just freaking hit somebody twice, and then you can back off or something. I don't know, because this game has the capability for so many random builds. There's just like so much in it, and we're only like scraping the surface right now. I think the only thing this game has. I'll just go into it later with all the perks. Anyways, shields, buckler, heater shield, pretty good. Round shield, all right. Pavisa? I don't even know how to say that. It's situational. Shields don't work on your back, so having it, you're really only using it just in case of like a hallway fight, or you're in a really open area and you need cover. But other than that, I don't really know. I wouldn't use it. I skip on it every time I see it. It's worthless. It's also a minus 65 movement speed, so you're moving like a turtle if you have it out. Other than that, let me see. Signature weapon. Yeah. Moving on to like some weapon ideas. This game has a lot of potential because it's medieval, but it's also a fantasy game. So it's not. Well, these items aren't really one of them's fantasy, I think. The other one's not. For maces, I really want a flail. I want a flail where if you just swing it, you deal like a little bit of, not really like a little bit of damage, but you do some damage, right? And then you have an alternate ability for it where you can swing it around in a circle and you could charge up and attack. I think that would be pretty cool. And then I can start rolling around with my drunken cleric build. Well, not really my drunken cleric build, but just a drunken cleric build. Because there's not enough perks really to create your own thing. And most likely somebody else is maybe using it. If not, they're doing it like better than you. And then another thing, for ranger and rogue, there should be a hand crossbow, which I'm surprised they didn't add. Wonder, does it say like when they added the crossbow? It does not. Nope. So yeah, I think a hand crossbow would be nice, or maybe even like a repeating crossbow from like a Warhammer. I think that'd be cool. But I don't think Warhammer is like the first one to make the repeating crossbow. I think it was using like Vermintide. But yeah, it would just be interesting to see. Maybe some more abilities related to crossbows, so maybe you're not just using a singular perk, so you can actually use it a little bit more efficiently. I don't know. Who knows? There's so much they can add. There's only the very start. There's only freaking what, 4 shields. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 casting items. 2 crossbows. So many more possibilities. 3 bows currently. You got a long range, a medium range, and like I guess is like a short range bow. Because there is arrow drop, I guess, instead of like bullet drop. Maybe they got guns. Maybe you got like a gunslinger. That'd be interesting. I doubt it though. Axes. There's always room for more axes. We still don't have like a two-handed mace or something. Although that doesn't really count as an axe. Just an idea of like a two-handed weapon. Pole arms. We still don't have a pike yet, but maybe the halberd is technically a pike. I'm looking for something just for like slash 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 and then pierce pierce. But who knows? I don't really know much for daggers. I don't know. I never really play rogue too much in any like D&D type games. I usually only play like ranger. For maces, two-handed mace. Um, maybe like Dark Souls. I wonder what weapons Dark Souls has. Maybe they could pull some stuff from that. I don't know. Is Dark Souls D&D? Swords. There's always room for more swords. We need some more interesting secondary swords instead of a short sword. That's kind of boring, considering some of the builds that exist. Anyways, going on to perks now. Barbarian. Barbarian's pretty much meta at this point. If you have a barbarian, they're most likely going to go around and one shot the majority of the squishy classes, which there are 3 of. Actually, 4. If you're counting like a cleric that's like wearing leather or cloth. But regardless, I think everybody gets one shot headshot by these dudes. So you have a +10 to axe attacks, axe specialization. Very good. I think starting out, you just take this. Berserker, you do that with the HP build. Carnage, skip. 7 seconds. I think within 7 seconds, you can maybe get like one additional hit that's good. because the buff duration in this game is like really freaking fast. Maybe if it was like 20 seconds, it'd be like really good. But no. I don't think Carnage really matters. Actually, maybe if you're doing the tunnels, if you're doing the Goblin tunnels though, maybe this could be good. Maybe you could find a way to do this and axe specialization. Other than that, I don't really take it. I use Iron Will just because I don't like any spellcasters, because they just get like free damage, because you can't really do anything as a barbarian against them. Besides use throwing axes, like your only gap closer is one of your skills. So getting closer to them and just not allowing them to hurt you, I think it's like a very good thing. Morale boost, I don't really care about it. Recovering 12 HP after killing a player, maybe. I don't really care about it personally. Physical damage bonus whenever not wearing chest armor, yeah. You're just better off not using it. And 10%'s not a small amount in this game, starting out. So you get axe specialization, and then I run savage, just savage. Smash is also a very good thing, because you can destroy doors and get around your really low resourcefulness, which is how long it takes to interact with items on the map, like opening chests and opening doors and stuff. I like toughness as well, 10% HP. You know, it's a decent amount of hit points depending on your build too. If you have a like strength heavy build, you take toughness. That's you could probably hit like 100 and like 80 HP if you like really build for it, maybe, or maybe even like 200. Who knows? And then increasing physical attack power when attacking with two-handed weapon. That's like your second perk. You take axe specialization, take that, and then you go into savage. So you get 10%, 5%, and then just 10 flat. And that's a lot, freaking. I don't even know if these are multiplicative or they're just additive. The 5% here, the 10% here. But yeah, very good. And then you could just take whatever. You probably just take Smash instead of Iron Will, because that's like 3 traits right there. Anyways, moving on. Rage, strength increased by 50%. That's pretty good. And movement to increase by 15% while your defense is reduced. Rage, you just take it. There's no reason not to. Relentless attack, I don't think it really matters. You ignore 75% of your enemy's defense. It doesn't really matter when you headshot them without this ability and you deal like 80 damage. I don't think that really matters. You just aim for a headshot. You one-shot them. Savage Roar. Savage Roar, if you're like starting out, and you don't want to take damage before your first fight, take Savage Roar. Otherwise, you take Warcry. Gear. And gear is very circumstantial. I mean, if you have like a +1 all attributes, you're gonna take that regardless of what it is here. I mean, for boots, you was like the thing that gives you the most agility, because you need to be fast. You're kind of clunky as a character. You're 11 agility, so you're gonna need every point of that you can, and movement speed, because that's you need to stay in range so you can hit them in the head as much as possible. I think it's riveted gloves that give agility. Or is it rawhide? Regardless, whatever gives agility, take it. This one, I'm pretty sure for legs you want the most amount of armor possible. because your legs are going to give you all your armor if you're taking Savage, unless you don't take Savage. In that case, you're going to take a Rigo Gapes. And then this one, I haven't seen the Barbuda Helm, but German Boo. I'm just going to butcher that. You're going to be using that most of the time. And yeah, a whole lot of D&D stuff. I don't really look at this at all because I can't read it. It's too many numbers. I kind of know it. Weight limit right now doesn't really work. Your bag can be full of the heaviest items in the game. Heaviest air quotes because we don't know the weight of the items yet. But yeah, we don't know how that applies. Whenever they add weight limit, oh boy, are the Rangers and the Rogues gonna thrive? It may be Barbarian will get a thing where they say ignore weight limit, like a Skyrim perk. I'm pretty sure there's a Skyrim perk where it's like you're something to do with like a horse, and you kind of like you get additional weight capacity, and I think you get like additional stamina or something, or you can sprint while being overweight. I can't remember. Spell memory doesn't matter. Utility effectiveness, move speed. You're slow. You're big bulky tank. Spellcasting doesn't matter. Equip speed, kind of, but not really. You're gonna have your weapon out most of the time anyways, because you smash through like literally everything. You're very slow interacting overall. And yeah, I don't really care about the resistances. All I think about is like the enemy weapons are gonna be good, or they're gonna headshot me. So this does not matter. Anyways, from Barbarian, we're the OP class. I think Cleric. It's like easily third and fourth. I don't know. I find Cleric to be very fun. So you got to. This is obviously your support class. Advanced Healer, base healing by 5. Okay. If you're playing like in a team of 3, you obviously need this. Increases physical attack by 5% when using a bolt weapon. I use it solo in the Goblin Caves along with Brewmaster because you increase your strength with this. Very good. Have these two running together. You also have like one more agility than a Barbarian, by the way. So Barbarians will always be your enemy. Kindness, very good. Supporting. Preservance, good for soloing. Protection from evil is also good for soloing, but it's also good for teams. I don't know what harmful effects are necessarily, but I'm assuming that they're burn from wizards, poison from rogues. It's like, as far as I know, I think that's it for harmful effects. I don't really know too many other ones. Maybe slows too, from like bind from a cleric. I think there's like one other thing. I think there's a thing from wizard. I don't know. Requiem, I don't use it. I just heal them up. I rather use that for something else. Because you only get like 4 perk slots. So Requiem, I don't really care about. And also, I don't use the revives either. I just use the reviving altars. Maybe before this playtest is over, I'll do a build where I can resurrect people. And you see what resurrection does again. And undead slaying only applies to one of the 2 maps. Actually, no, it applies to Goblin Caves too. Never mind. There are skeletons in Goblin Caves. But personally, no. There's better things you can do. And also, you shouldn't be struggling on undead monsters anyways. So it's better off just getting Brewmaster because it works on players and skeletons. And this one also works on players and skeletons. Or just undead. I don't know. Maybe you would take this if you go into the underworld, or you take like a red portal. I think it's just like hell. Maybe I don't know. I don't really use it. I think it's a dead perk personally. I rather use like if I'm in a team, advanced healer, kindness, perseverance, protection from evil, and if I'm playing solo, advanced healer, bolt weapon mastery, brewmaster, and perseverance. And I'll sometimes switch it out with protection evil. Skills, holy purification, and this is like another thing too. Sure, you could take the other perk for a 20% damage, physical damage bonus. By the way, to undead monsters, it doesn't really work with this because it's magical. But sure, if you want to be anti-undead and you want to like kill the undead bosses, go for it. I don't really care about it. I take judgment. Judgment, you slow them, you deal 35 magic damage, which if you're gonna have really good gear, that's 60. So you'll be doing 60 with it, and you'll debuff them for 20, so you can catch up and whack them in the head with the mace, or somebody else can catch up to them and whack them, or stab them. Smite, 7 seconds is too short. If you had something to increase your buff duration, or if there's a way to increase the magic damage, maybe. But other than that, don't matter. Obviously, you take spell memory. You need spell memory. You are a caster. You have decent will. If you get enough knowledge, you can instant cast. Well, not really instant cast, but you can very quickly cast a lot of your spells. And your spells are kind of what matter. Because you are a support. So protection, 20 physical damage. Okay. 5 cast. Very good. You take that. You take bless. You take lesser heal. You take divine strike. Cleanse. There's not too many things to cleanse right now, and nobody really goes around binding people. So you take cleanse. Well, you don't take cleanse. And with these 4, you can use them all, because there is a spell memory feature, and you have a cost up to 12, and these will almost fill the bar. And you could take holy light maybe, but I personally I think sanctuary is like kind of goaded. Very good for AoEing rooms. Very good for the AoE heals for your team. But holy light's like very good if you have like a definite tank, because this will heal them up quite a bit during fights, and this will probably save their lives also the majority of the time. And resurrection, I do not use it. Also has 1 cast. You have to get rid of so many spells in order to use resurrection, as noticed. Because with sanctuary, you can barely even operate as a healer, because you don't take holy light anymore. You only have these 4. If you take holy light, you'll have 11 out of 12 spell memory, but this one is 12 exactly. So with resurrection, you have to lose something, and to be honest, these are kind of too important to lose. But yeah, that's cleric spells. I wonder what else they can add. I don't know what other support spells they have for D&D. Hopefully they have a thing where I can be a melee cleric. I think that'd be cool. And gear, don't really matter. You just take whatever you want. You can go armored cleric, which you would probably do if you're doing solo. But again, it's all dependent on what enchantments are available to you. I think if you were just randomly doing runs of the Goblin Caves, I think if you did like a Kettle Hat, Regal Gapeson, or Templar, plate pants, heavy gauntlet, and heavy boots. I think you could probably maybe sweep. I do that, but I'm also like very slow, but I'm also very tanky. I can like kind of go head to head against barbarians. So I don't know. That's just me personally. But I'm also not using very good gear. I'm using like blues. Yeah. They have very low resourcefulness, by the way. Apparently lower than a barbarian, which is also very funny. So hopefully your team gives you some loot. I know at least like I do call outs for my team if they like need something and I can't use it. I'll tell them to use it instead, which they normally do. And then they save stuff for me. Fighter, perfect, perfect balanced class. So many random things you can do. Got barricade, defensive stance. I don't really care about it. Don't matter to me. Defense rating bonus. I ignore it. I use combo attack. Physical power temper increases and you get your successful attacks. You do combo attack and counter attack. Successful defense increases your movement speed and attack speed by 10%. And then you do combo attack. Very good. Defense expert. Good. Equipping weapons in both hands. I'm going to wait to do this. They need to make fighter have better secondhand weapons. Or just make better secondhand weapons in general before this becomes like a meta thing. Because if you do that, increasing armor rating, and then you do counterattack, combo attack, you can kind of be a menace. Damage taken from projectiles, I don't care. You have a shield most of the time anyways as a fighter. And you have it up. And hopefully you're not aiming just directly at them. You're aiming a little bit up. So you're covering your head so they can't do headshots. But, you know, you're leaving like the lower half of your body open to hits. Reduces base movement speed and penalty armor by 20%. I don't really care about Swift. Personally, I carry Sprint. So, all primary, secondary weapons regardless of class requirements. I'm pretty sure this is 20 now. Instead of a 10. Okay, they don't have anything about it. Also, you should take most of my opinions with Great Assault because I'm not even like level 20 on like the majority of these. But just from my experience, I think Weapon Mastery is actually like kind of good because you get to use crossbows. And having ranged options as a fighter is very good. Because you're supposed to be like an all-around like good class. Adrenaline Rush attack speed by 25%. Your movement speed's temporarily reduced. I don't care about that. This will again become meta once you can actually dual wield properly. Maybe I'll do like a dual wield run after recording this video in the Goblin Caves. Maybe see if it's fun. Removes debuffs and slow all movement speeds. What? Oh, I can't read. Removes debuffs that slow all movement speeds. That doesn't matter. There's not very much in the game that could slow you. In fact, I don't think there's really any slows. I think it's mostly just binding. Oh, let me see. Is there? No, never mind. I'll just wait. Recovers 50%. Very good second win. Sprint, very good. Aggro all monsters in the area. Increases by 50%. Huh? Increase the aggro value. Increase your defense rating bonus by 8%. I don't think taunt really matters to me. Also, again, I think Victory Strike and sprint will be very fun whenever you could do wield. Or adrenaline rush victory strike. That'd be very fun. I just wish freaking Barbarian could go around wielding axes. But he is so freaking slow. His agility is too low to have fun with that. So you'd have to literally perk. Well, not really perk, but you'd have to get like all attribute stuff to increase your agility for it to be like fun on Barbarian. Also, every time I try to use the two-handed weapons on Barbarian 2, I don't think he has a single primary hand weapon that's not two-handed. Hatchet goes into the second slot by default, and I think Horseman's Axe also goes into the second slot by default. So you don't have a primary one-hand main what? You don't have a main hand one-handed weapon. You only have offhand one-handed weapons. Um yeah. And then, gear utility, it doesn't list it. But I'm pretty sure you can use a because you're a fighter and you're good at like everything. You can use throwing knives if you have the perk for it. I'm pretty sure. So that should be like added in parentheses maybe. But you got your shields. Again, round shield, heater shield, probably what you're gonna be mainly using. Arming sword you start out with the I think you start with the round shield. Dagger doesn't matter. Falcon, love it. Mace, never use it. Hatch, don't care. Horseman's Axe, don't care. Battle Axe is good. Longsword's also good too. And Spear. Swaylander, no. Crossbow, yes. Uh, Whatever gives you the most amount of armor. Really. Because there's no reason not to. I mean, you get all your stuff increases your freaking resistance. Defense rating bonus, 1. Another 1. Armor, 2. Shield expert. Requires you to be a little bit tanky. Swift again. Move pendulum from equipped armors. So you're going to want to go armor rating heavy. And yeah. Moving on to Ranger. Also fighter. Also, probably second. I'd say fighter's like second place. I think it's like pretty good. And then Ranger. I put Ranger in like third or fourth place. It fights with Cleric, I think. Crossbow Mastery. Personally, I don't care about it. Increases reload speed. I don't know. I haven't really used crossbow, so could be good. They have decent damage on them. So here, max one's 27, 49, 62, 71, 81. Yeah. So it could be worth it. Also, 5% applies way better to these numbers than to these lower ones, obviously. Just by comparison. So maybe. Uh, enhanced hearing. I think hearing's like it's kind of hard to begin with. I don't think it really matters. You can hear people in like the next room if you listen very closely. So I don't think it matters. You're gonna develop literally like schizophrenia or freaking paranoia from having this perk. You're gonna be so scared at like all times. You're gonna think that they're like right next to you, but they're not. Bowstring drawn, good. Good to use. Movement speed increase while bowstrings drawn's good. Peek corners real quickly. Good poke. When using both the default shooting animation shoots 15% faster. Good. Good damage output. Physical attack with range weapon. You take it. This helps you overall. Even though it's like a little bit more damage, I think it's worth. Headshots if you're good with that. But it says long range weapon, so I think it only applies to crossbow or the longbow. I think that's how that works. I don't think it applies to the survival or recursive bow because it's long range, and recursive and survival are short. At least that's what I think. I don't know. But just going by long range, crossbows and longbows are probably longer range. Spear efficiency, 10 physical strength. Huh? So it's literally doubling. So it's kind of good. But it says physical strength, so I don't know if it applies to your strength stat or it's just within your stats table. I don't know, but it could be good. Spears are kind of, if you get like a really good spear, I mean, you take that. Uh, Tracking. Also, spears like kind of hard to find personally. I think I've only found like 2 spears, but I guess I also haven't played that much. You could probably buy it into trade channels. Anyways, detect enemy footsteps. I think this is good. This is good for countering freaking rogues, which are obviously your weakness as a ranger because you're squishy. You know, you got decent agility, but you're not gonna outrun a rogue who has 35 agility. So good to use. Trap expert could be good if you are I don't know, you're like finding yourself in rooms where you could like put out the torches, and you know where your trap is, and you can like poke your target while they're trying to get out of it. Or you find yourself running away a lot, and you can get somebody to body block the entire door, and you can use one of your skills here, your quick shot, and freaking hit him really hard. So going over these skills now, so I just did that segue. Field ration, very good. 25 HP, 3 stacks. Although it's not replenishable, I think it's good. You take field ration. Very important for when you get into melee, because you only have 90 hit points. You eat a field ration and you can survive like one more hit maybe. Especially if you're new. Because, the arming sword, going back, 22 damage starting out, 25 damage. It eats one of those hits. Good to use. And then you can keep running away. Multi-shot, I think it's a good like shotgun shot if you want to do it. 350. Get real close. Very dangerous. High risk, high reward. I don't recommend it, but I find it fun to use it. You can one-shot skeletons sometimes with it if you're starting out. So help you level up like a little bit faster. But other than that, don't use. I don't know. I never really used quick fire. Don't really care about it because you have quick shot. And by the way, multi shot, if you're at 1 arrow left, it will again like reset you. I think it resets you to 1 arrow again. And I'm pretty sure quick shot also like automatically reloads your quiver, and it gives you 3 more arrows. Or maybe I'm just not using this right. I think actually you use it when you have 0 arrows, and before you reload, you use multi-shot, and then you get 1 additional arrow. Same for this one. 0 arrows, you do quick shot, automatically reloads your quiver, and you get 3 more arrows. So these two have that mechanic. This one does not, and this one does not, because this one just affects the projectile speed. And this one also just increases how fast you shoot and doesn't reload it. So, quick shot, field ration, easy. Obviously, recurve is meta. Rapier is just better than arming sword. You attack faster with it. It's going back. Arming sword. 66. 56. Just better. Bear trap. It's the only trap you have currently. I wonder what else they'll add. I wonder if you could add like tripwire. I don't know. Can't wait to see what they have in store. There's so many options again they could do with this game. And items, you're mostly leather anyway, so you can have low armor. You just want things that give you all attributes as per usual. It's just like the best thing to get. And whatever additional damage you can get on your bow. Oh, here it is. Okay, doesn't really matter. Also, yeah, you can shoot through the windows as well. Kind of difficult to learn at first, but as soon as you get the hang of it, it's really freaking annoying to get hit through that tiny little slot on the doors. So you have to crouch down whenever you're interacting with doors against the ranger. Now you got rogues, kind of the plague, but also they're kind of weak. They're competing for last, essentially, with the wizard, personally. But that's also probably because it takes a bit of money to get the wizard and the rogue up and running and to get them to be really good. So you got ambush. First attack within 3 seconds of being released from stealth. Good. Good to use. Backstab, good to use. 30%, you can't knock that. Is good. Creep. Creep is very good. Because the audio in this game, it is crucial to hear. So if you have creep on, you're going to be getting around most people besides like a ranger with a very specific perk that they're wasting their time with, which is enhanced hearing. And when you have tracking available, that counters rogue way better. Because if you go invisible with the rogue skill, hide, they can see your footprints. So, yeah, you just use tracking. Anyways, physical damage bonus, dagger expert. I don't think it really matters, to be honest. Daggers have very low base damage. So, yeah, most you would be getting is like, what, 2 damage? That one's like 1 damage. 1 or 2, 1 or 2, 1 or 2 starting out. Very low, not useful. Better off getting something else like lockpick expert so you can get some good loot. And then when other people kill you, they get the loot. But regardless, lockpick expert, good. Lockpicks are kind of hard to come by. And if you come by a chest that's like, you get a good like lion head chest or a golden chest even. Very good to have. You have multiple tents. You get to learn how to use lockpicks. Just good. Good to use. Pickpocket. You don't get to choose an item. It's just random. So could be fun. Poison weapon, good to use. I think it's a must-have. For magic damage over 4 seconds. It also scales if your items have magic damage, additional magic damage on it. Very good. This adds to the poison build. If you're hiding, you move 10 steps. Stealth, you need it. Trap detection, you don't need it. If you're caught in a trap, to be honest, you're probably dead anyways. But also traps are marked on your map by a triangle on the side of the wall. And as you play, you'll learn where the traps are and learn when to avoid them. But even then, even the experienced people that I watch who played this game like day one and they're like D&D nerds, they still die by spike traps and stuff like that occasionally, or spear traps. So maybe if you don't like dying to that because you have good loot, go for it, I guess. What I usually run is stealth, poisoned weapon, lockpick expert, very useful, and ambush, because you can't knock the 50 additional weapon damage. Caltrops, ignore. 10 physical damage and slowing the target, don't care about it. Hide. Hide is your base skill. Rupture, again, another base skill. Bleeding for 20 physical damage over 5 seconds. Good to have. Smoke bomb, don't use it. It doesn't de-aggro you, apparently. I don't think. Yeah, it just says it slows. It didn't say anything about de-aggroing monsters. It would be specified here. Because within the Barbarian Savage Roar, it says it frightens all enemies. It doesn't frighten players though. Or actually, no, maybe it does. I think it does frighten players actually. Well, it doesn't frighten them, but it reduces their physical damage bonuses. Anyways, weak point attack when the next attack is seen. I don't care about it personally. I think rupture is equivalent to that. I think rupture is just better too, because once you get rupture stacking along with, well, not really stacking, but once you get rupture up with poison weapon and you start stacking poison weapon, because you stack up to 5 times, which same amount of damage as that. It's the target should be dead at that point. Gear, unfortunately, I don't think it applies to throwing knives. So maybe if they did, it'd be kind of better. It'd actually be really annoying. You just have a rogue hit you with the throwing knife across a big area, and you get poisoned for half your HP because they have a poison build. That'd be really annoying. And yeah, you just get leather gear. Whatever you can to increase your agility, get as much strength as you can, and you're already good on resourcefulness. You already open things pretty quickly, so pretty good. If you're solo, you'll just sit in the darkness and get behind somebody, stab them. Next, wizard. Holy crap, that is low resourcefulness. 5. It's worse than barbarian. Actually, no, worse than cleric because cleric has less. Awful. Yeah. I really want to do melee wizard, but they have like no HP either. 75 HP. I would need a lot of strength and agility to pull that off if I want to do like an enchant a battle mage, which is what I really want. Because I play Swain a lot from League, and Swain is a battle mage. Anyways, each time you do damage to the arcane spell, increase your spell casting speed and base magic damage by 1% per stack. Eh. I don't really play enough mage, so I wouldn't really know if that's good or not. Increase damage to arcane spells, reducing casting time. Pretty good because you do use magic missiles a lot. Because magic missiles is your main method of clearing, and meditate it gives the most charges, so you will probably take that. Fire damage. I mean, unless you're using fire damage and you use the enchantments on your crystal sword, maybe you'll go with that. But mostly you only cast spells. Maybe cast like fireball like a little bit. Maybe. Increase your damage. Increase your armor rating by 20%. Inflict frostbite. Yeah, you take. I think you do take ice shield. Magic damage bonus. Mana surge. Good. Just overall magic damage. You don't need arcane mastery. You don't need fire mastery. Works on everything. And also you have electric spells too, which oddly enough don't fall into either of these categories. That's kind of weird. If you deal magical fire damage to target, physical damage reduction. Interesting. Don't use it. Well, I don't use it. I use quick chant. Increasing your knowledge is actually good too, because it increases your casting speed. To be honest, you probably run, if I were to play this, Arcane Feedback into Mana Surge, Ice Shield, Quick Chant. And maybe I would switch out Arcane Feedback for Sage. Just to cast spells overall faster. Activates Arcane Shield when you take damage. 10% of total damage. Reactive Shield, that sounds like a counter just to rogues, maybe. It says total damage, so probably just accounts for rogues. Don't really care for it. I think only Sage, Quick Chant, Mana Surge, Ice Shield, and Arcane Feedback are probably like the only good things. Or Arcane Mastery. Either one of these two. And you got skills. Tense Focus, don't matter. Useless. Meditation, goaded. You need meditation. Otherwise, you're never going to cast ever again. And you're going to have to use campfires. So you take meditation, you take spell memory. And what's kind of weird, so intense focus is supposed to be the alternate choice for meditation, but you're never going to use it. Because what's the point of reducing the cast time of your next spell and having spells when you can't regain them without having to use a rest, which is just using a campfire. And you have to have a good campfire in order to get all your charges of your good spells, like your very limited use ones. So meditation is just overall better, and it's reusable. Anyways, moving on. Oh, there's a light spell, huh? Didn't know that. So you got Zap. Don't really use it. Somebody uses Light Orb because they don't like rogues. So I don't really care about that. I'd use Ignite personally because I want to play Battle Mage. Slow, maybe. Ice Bolt, again, maybe. Magic Missile, yes. Haste, yes. Invisibility, yes. Fireball, yes. Lightning Strike, maybe. Chain Lightning, yeah. I mean, the basic thing that people use is Magic Missile, Haste, Invisibility, Fireball, Lightning, cast, Chain Lightning. And you can use them all. That's about it. Really could use throwing knives, huh? Didn't know that. Kind of garbage. Also, they should add the lantern, because the lantern is also a utility item, and you could throw it and it deals damage. It is like a little fireball after effect. And this, I don't really know because I don't play freaking wizard. Other than that, that's about all I've been doing. Oh. Oh, never mind. There it is. Increases physical power by 30. Yeah. There's the altar sacrifice I use. I only use that. I don't care about resurrection. I do use all these as soon as I see them because I want other people to take it. And yeah. Map? Map. Holy, why is it so blurry? Whatever. Oh, it's called Inferno. Ah, DE Inferno. Interesting. Well, they're missing a map. Hopefully they add the goblin map eventually. That's gonna be needed. Anyways, there's so much they can add to this game. So many freaking map variations. They have map creation pretty much nailed down. You know, you got your boss room in the center. I do love. Where is it? Oddly enough, I don't think this is correct. There is a looting area on the bottom right of the map. I'd love to loot this area. It's like a little crypt area, very good for Sometimes, occasionally getting rings, personal experience, and amulets. But also, the library is hard to find here. Oh, yeah, wait. Never mind. Ah, I see what they did. Okay. They're only showing the top layer of the map, I think. And what I'm referring to is a bottom layer, maybe. It's kind of weird how they do the maps. And also, you can't look at the entire map in the game either. You have to go with the little corner. Okay, there's like a corner area on the bottom right. I'm pretty sure it looks kind of like a staircase in reverse, and I think it's like very good for farming mummies. And I think mummies are pretty good for getting rings and also healing items like bandages. So it's very good like starting out equipment. Personally, yeah. It's the end of the podcast. I've just been playing freaking Dark and Darker, enjoying every moment of it. Best game. Hopefully, it goes on sale. I would say this is a $30 game. I really hope it stays at 30. And maybe they release like Tarkov stash tabs for additional money. You can get like 10 stash tabs for like $100. I hope it does go more than that. Also, it's a good thing that it's on Steam because it can go on sale. That's a good thing. You get more new players, and you don't have to go through an external site in an external launcher. You can just get all on Steam. That's a good thing, personally. Anyways, I hope you have a good week and talk to you next Sunday. Peace.